Hey friends, welcome back to LlamaMamaKayla. Today I am going to show you how I make these coffee cups. So we have our little coffee cup with a face. It has a handle on the side and it has coffee with creamer on the inside. So if you would like to make one, I invite you to follow along on the video. You might want to watch through the video and then come back and watch it again to make yours. But I'm using a H hook, and if you want yours any smaller, you can definitely use a G hook. I think mine turned out the right size for me. I am actually going to use mine to stick needles and stick pins. I can stick all my stick pins in here and my tapestry needles. And that's what I'm going to use mine for. And you can use yours for anything you would like. You know, I made one of these last week and gave it as a birthday gift, and the girl absolutely loved it. So they make great little gifts. You could make this tea, and you could make a little tag to hang down for your tea. If you want it to be tea instead of coffee, it's up to you. You can make this milk if you would like to. But anyway, I do want to remind you that you have the ability to slow down or speed up any YouTube video. Just go put your mouse or whatever on the settings, or if you're on your phone, go to settings, and you can turn the speed down lower so it's slow, or you can speed the speed up so it's fast. And you can also adjust the volume. Make sure your device volume is up. Make sure your YouTube volume is up. And you can do that with any video you watch on YouTube, but especially tutorials. You want to have the ability to speed up and slow down. Well, guys, I hope you enjoy this project. Let's get busy and make a coffee cup. So the supplies we are going to need for our coffee cups is some number 4 yarn, whatever color you like. I'm just using Craft Smart here, and I'm using a purple. I don't know what the exact color is. Amethyst. And I'm using a Craft Smart color that is coffee for my coffee. And I'm using Crafter's Secret Dark Ivory for my creamer. So my coffee is going to have coffee and creamer. If you want just coffee, that's fine. If you want a different color for tea, pick whatever color you like. If you would like milk in your coffee cup, then just put white. It's all up to you. Okay, so I'm also pulled out a little pink for my cheeks, if you choose to put cheeks on your coffee cup. I'm going to be using an H hook. If you like a tighter stitch, you could go to a G hook. You'll need a stitch marker, some scissors, a needle for sewing, and I'm going to be using these pebbles. You don't have to use these pebbles. You can use something else, or you don't have to use any at all. These pebbles I bought at the $1.25 tree back when it was a Dollar Tree. And that's just to give it some weight in the bottom to make it stand up solid and not tip over. And you may want safety eyes, or you may want to crochet eyes or stitch eyes on, just whatever you prefer. That is your choice. Okay, I also pulled out a coffee cup. You may want to grab one from your kitchen. We have coffee cups of all shapes and sizes. This is one of Elijah's cups. And so I picked this cup because I felt like it was a standard size cup. So that's kind of what I'm going by. Remember, I am winging it in this video. I know I made a cup just a few days ago, but I didn't write it down. I was winging it then. I'm winging it now. So we're going to figure this out together. All right, so You are welcome to do a magic ring if you would like. I am going to make my slip knot and put on my hook, and I'm going to chain 2, and in that first chain I'm going to go back and put 6 single crochets all into that first chain. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. My hook came out. Okay, so in that 6th stitch, I'm going to put my stitch marker. All right. So make sure you have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's your first one right here. So in that first stitch for round 2, that was round 1, for round 2 I'm going to make that an increase row, and I'm going to go into the first stitch, pull up, and do a single crochet. Okay, and to make an increase, I'm going to go back into that same stitch right beside that one and make a second single crochet. So that's 1, 2, and that's what we're going to do in every stitch on this round. So in stitch number 2, I'm going to put 3 and 4. In the next stitch, I'm putting 5 and number 6. The next stitch will have 7 and 8. The next stitch will have 9 and 10. And the last stitch, take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to put stitches 11 and 12. Okay, and so that number 12 is my last stitch, so I'm putting my stitch marker there. So now we have 12 stitches, and you can count those to make sure. So that's row 1 and row 2. So starting row 3, in the very first stitch, we're going to do an increase. Increase is 2 single crochets. Okay, in the next stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. And the next stitch is going to be an increase, so we put 2 single crochets. Okay, and then the next stitch, 1. So we're repeating that all the way around, but since it's just a short round, I'm just going to keep doing it. So the next one is 2. The next one will be 1. And the next one's an increase, so we put 2. Okay, the next one is 1. And then the next one, increase, so we put 1 and 2. The next one we put 1, and the next one we're going to put 1 and 2. Oops, and 2. Okay, and then we're at the last stitch, and we're going to put 1 single crochet. So that completes round 3. So now we are at round 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, round number 4. We are going to, in the first stitch, we're going to do an increase. So that's 1, 2 single crochets in that same stitch. The next stitch, 1 single crochet. The next stitch, 1 single crochet. Then in the next stitch, we're going to increase again. So that's 2 single crochets. And then 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and in the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochets again for our increase. And then 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then the next one's an increase, so we put 2 single crochets. Okay, and then we're back to 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 single crochets in the next. Then 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet in the next, then 2 single crochets in this next one, and then we have 2 stitches left, and so they're each a single crochet. 1 single crochet, and then the last stitch, 1 single crochet, and then we place our stitch marker back on that last stitch. Alright, so that was round 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so on the next round, round number 5, we are going to increase in that very first stitch, and so an increase would be 2 single crochets. Then we're going to put single crochet in the next, a single crochet in the next stitch, and a single crochet in the next stitch. So that's 3 single crochets in, 1 in each stitch. So then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next for an increase, and then the next 3 stitches we put 1 single crochet, 1, the next stitch 1, and the next stitch 1. So we just put 3. Now in the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochets to increase. Okay, and then we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 in each stitch, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now the next stitch we're going to put our 2 single crochets to increase again. Alright, and now in the next 3 stitches we put 1 single crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Alright, and then the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochets again. Okay, now we're down to our 3 single crochets, 1 in each stitch, 1, 2, and 3. The next stitch will have 2 single crochets. Okay, and we should have 3 stitches left, and 1 single crochet goes in each stitch. If you're off count a little bit, just go with it. Just keep going. It'll turn out fine. Okay, so that is round 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're ready for round 6, and in round 6 we are going to increase in our first stitch. Now, increase means 2 single crochets in that same stitch. Now guess what we're going to do? We're going to put 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then we're going to do an increase again, so it's 2 single crochets in that stitch. Alright, and then we're going to do 4 single crochets again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we need to increase in the next stitch, so that would be 2 single crochets. Now we're going to do 4 again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next stitch will be an increase, so we put 2 single crochets. Then we're going to do the 4 single crochets again, 1 in each stitch. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, in the next stitch, we're going to do an increase, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. Okay, now we're back to doing 4 single crochets, 1 in each stitch. So number 2, number 3, and number 4. And then we need to do a increase again, so we put 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then we should have 4 stitches left over. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, now I'll place my stitch marker back in that very last stitch. Okay, so that's what we have now. We have 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm just going to take my coffee cup and I'm just going to kind of put that on the bottom and see how that's looking. You can do the same to see if that's the size you want yours. And if you need yours bigger, you are welcome to go another round of increase. But mine is a good size, so for my 7th row, I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch. 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around for row 7. And I will meet you back when I get back to my stitch marker. Okay, I went all the way around. I made it back to my stitch marker. So I'm going to take that one out and put a stitch in my last stitch there and put my stitch marker back in. Okay, and you can see mine's kind of cupped up just a little bit there. That's fine. Alright, so that was row 7. Okay, for row 8, we are going to crochet in the back loops only. We're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only. Okay, I'm just going to show you here. Let me see. You can see your stitch is right here, and this is considered the front loop, and that's considered the back loop. I'm just going over this just in case someone's doing this for the first time. They will know. This is front loop, and this is back loop. So we're going to be going in the back loops only. So that means we're going to put our crochet hook into the back loop and not the front loop. So each stitch, we're just doing the back loop. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start in that very first next stitch, go into the back loop only. So you only have that one little strand. And now we're going to do a single crochet. And yeah, it kind of looks loose, but it will tighten up. Go into the next back loop and just put a single crochet in each back loop all the way around. almost done, so just keep going. Now what this does, crocheting in the back loop, that's going to turn up for our cup wall. So now we have a base, and this turns up to go up the side of the cup. Okay, so the last stitch, take my stitch marker out and still go in the back loop only. Okay, and then when I put my stitch marker in, it's going to go through that whole stitch, front loop and back loop, in the new stitch that we made. Okay, so now that's what we have. We have the base of our cup, and now we're coming up the wall. See how it kind of turns a little bit? So that's what we're going to do. So this will be row 9, and we're just going to single crochet through both loops. So you're going to go front loop and back loop on your hook and just single crochet, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So what we're going to do is continue to just single crochet all the way around. When you get back to your stitch marker, you just single crochet in that stitch marker, just single crochet where your stitch marker is, and then put your stitch marker back into your last stitch, and then continue to single crochet all the way around. Now this is where I'm using my cup to see how tall I want to make my cup. You can make yours whatever height that you want to, so that's why I said you might want to get a coffee cup from your kitchen so you can see how tall you want to make your cup. I'm going to pause the camera and crochet in the round, many rounds, to get my cup to the height. When I come back, I'll tell you how many rounds I did, but you don't have to do the same amount of rounds I did. You can change that up and, you know, make your cup shorter, taller, whatever you're going for. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will meet y'all back here when I get my cup to the height that I want it. And I'll tell you how many rounds I did, but you are welcome to crochet your own number of rounds. Okay guys, I will see you back here shortly. Okay, I've gotten my cup to the height that I want it, and I didn't quite go as tall as the cup that I got out of the our cup coffee station. I could have went probably 2 more rows to get that high, but I thought this is really high enough. So this is 14 rows. So the first row we did was row 9. So I went 9 through 22, and that's 14 rows. So I ended on row 22. And so to end this, I am going to slip stitch in the next stitch, and then I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave enough to weave in. I can't stand it if I don't have enough yarn to actually weave in. And so I'm just going to tighten that down a little and take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to go ahead and weave that tail in right now so it's not a nuisance later. And since it's going to be on the inside of the cup, you don't have to weave it in too well, but I do want it to pull, you know, downward. So I'm just going just right up under some stitches. Now before I pull that through, I'm going to look on the other side and make sure my needle isn't showing, because if the needle was there, then I have to do it again, because that means your strand would be there on the outside. So I'm just going to pull that through. Okay, don't want to pull it too tight because it'll make a dent right there. And you can just leave that tail because it's going to be on the inside and it's not going to make a bit of difference. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside for right now, and we'll do some more to this in a moment. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to make a slip knot. We're working on the handle. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail to sew my handle closed at the end. So it doesn't have to be too long, but you want it long enough that you can actually work with it. So I'm going to make a slip knot and put that on my hook. I'm still using the H hook. And I'm going to chain 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, and then I'm going to single crochet in the second chain there, in chain number 10, and then just single crochet all the way down. So you should have 10 single crochets on this. Now I'm doing my handle like this because I want it to be a nice sturdy thick handle. I know that I could do something different and it would be a dainty little handle that I would not be happy with, because I want it to be a sturdy handle. Okay, so I did 10 single crochets back down, so I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and then single crochet in that very first stitch, and then just single crochet in every stitch all the way down. This is row 2. And just to be honest with you, I don't know how many rows I'm doing yet, but I will come back and tell you in a few moments, because remember, I'm winging it. Okay, so when you come back down, you still have 10 stitches. The dog is snoring. Okay, and then you're just going to chain 1, turn your work, always single crochet in that very first stitch, and single crochet 10 stitches across every time. And we're going to end up folding this in the end, but I will come back and tell you how many stitches I did. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, I ended up doing 14 rows for my handle. I know that looks really wide, but what we're going to do is decide which side you want to be your facing out and which side do you want, to be the inside. So I want this side to be my inside and this side to be my outside. So I'm going to turn it where my inside is facing the inside. And what I see right here is my outside. Does that make sense? Is that clear as mud? Okay, I'm going to chain 1. And this is the side that's going to be on the outside of my handle, because we're going to turn it right side out. Right now we're sewing it together, or crocheting it together wrong side out. Okay, so I chained 1, and I'm going to go get my yarn in the right place. I'm going to go in this first section here, and then the first wherever I can get my hook in, right over there, and I'm going to single crochet. Let's see. Okay. All right, now, and we still have our, okay, single crochet. All right. Ooh, did you hear the dog snoring? So I'm just single crocheting all the way down to fold this over so that it will be a nice sturdy handle. This dog snores so loud. She's right behind me. It's actually fixing to start storming here, and so I'm going to have to hold her. So I'm trying to get as much of this done as I can before the storm hits, because I'll have to hold her the rest of the night. She is my mom's dog, Bridget. She is so very scared of rain. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you this funny. When it starts raining, Bridget will get in the bathtub. I don't know how she gets in there, but she gets in the bathtub. And my mom said, like one morning I woke up and I couldn't find her. She was in the bathtub. And my mom said, I told my mom, she said, was it raining? And I said, yeah. She said, yeah, she gets in the bathtub when it's raining. She heard to do that on the news. When it's bad weather, get in the bathtub. Oh my gosh, I've laughed and laughed and laughed about that. Because she sounded so serious when she said that. Okay, I'm not going to crochet across this because I don't want that thickness there. So I've crocheted to the end. I'm just going to fasten off, cut my yarn, and just pull it through and fasten off. And I have the strand here, so I'm just going to tie that in a knot. I've tied it a couple times there, and I'm just going to clip my shortest one. Okay, so here's what we have. We have this tube. Alright, so you can stick your fingers and all the way in and touch each other. So what I'm going to do is turn this, because it's that ridge there, I'm going to turn this right side out. And it gets it's maybe a little hard to do that. And maybe you could take a crochet hook and help push some of that through. I'll try that. If it has a rubber grip on it, it might help pull some of that through. But anyway, just keep working it till you're able to get it all through there. See, there we go. Now that ridge is on the inside, right? Okay. The tail I left at the beginning, I am going to just hook that on, and I'm going to just sew this shut. And I'm just going to whip stitch across that. Okay, and I'm down at the other end now, so I'm going to just stick it through a couple more times just to make sure I got it good. All right, and then I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to go under a thread, one strand of the yarn, pull through, not let my loop close yet. And then I'm going to take my needle and go back through the loop and tie that yarn off a little bit. And then I can just run my needle in the middle, so it's not on the outsides, it's just through the middle. Run it through there, pull my yarn through, and then just clip it. Okay, now I want to sew this end together, so I'm just going to cut a small strand of yarn. Oh, here it is. And when I pull that through, I'll pull it almost through, and then I'm just going to tie this in a knot to secure that. And if you want, you can leave this tail a little bit longer so that you can run it through in the middle part too. I'm still going to do that, but I could have left it a little longer. So I'm just going to sew this closed real quick. And then same thing, I'm just going to go under one strand of yarn, pull this through, but go back through my loop before it closes so I can close that off. And then run my needle in the center and up and clip that piece. And then for this right here, since it's so short, I'm going to run my needle in the middle there and then put my yarn through it. Poke my needle out and pull that yarn into the middle, and it hides it in there. So here we have a handle, and here we have a cup, and I'll be right back for the next part. Okay, friends, next I'm going to go ahead and glue my stones into the bottom of my cup. So what I'm going to do, my hot glue gun is heating up, and I'm just going to pretend this is my hot glue gun for a moment. So what I'm going to do is take my stone, and I'm going to put hot glue on it, and I'm just going to place it in here. Now, when I place it down on the bottom, I put this plastic under it just in case. But when I place it down, I'm not mashing it, because what that's going to do is mash that hot glue gun out the bottom of your crochet. So I'm not going to mash it, I'm just going to put it in. The hot glue will touch that yarn and it will be there. So I'm not sure, I have 5 stones out. I'm not exactly sure how many I'm going to put in just yet. I'm going to roll this down some so it's not quite so deep. And I don't know if you can really see in there too much. Maybe you can. So what I'm going to do is just put my glue on the stone. And I'm not trying to put like over too much because, you know, it can come out the bottom. So I'm just putting enough that it will glue. I'm just kind of going around. Kind of looks like the 5 domino or whatever in there, the way I've got it. Okay, so can you see down in there? I've just got like 4 and then 1 in the middle. So there we go. And that's just going to keep it, you know, sitting up straight, not tumbling over, give it a little bit of weight there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place my eyes. Now here is where we tied off. So I want that on my side where my handle's going to be. So that's my side. So this right here is going to be my face. And I'm just looking to see where I'm going to put my face. And I'm just, let's see. The handle right here. The eyes might come apart a little bit more. And I think I will bring this one over a little bit. At least one stitch. And let me see. Okay, so I'm going to take a little ball, before I put the backs on them, I'm going to take a little ball of scrap yarn and cut me off a piece of pink for my mouth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in about right here is where I want my needle to come through. Maybe, yeah, right down there just below the eye. So I'm going to pull my yarn, but I want to leave a tail in there because I'm going to try to tie that in a moment. Now, centered in these, I believe it would be about right here. I think that'll be about the center. So I'm pushing my needle through. And then over here on this side, I'm going to come out right about, trying to get it like to look like that one, you know, it comes out about the right space on the other side. And then I'm going to go right in there. Okay, and I'm just kind of pull those tight, but not super tight where it changes the shape. But that's about where I want my little mouth there. Now, if you want to do yours like up higher or whatever, you know, feel free to do so. I think that's going to work for me and what I'm trying to accomplish. We're all different. We all like different things. So feel free to do yours your way. Let's see. Yep. I tied it in a knot, but not so tight that it, you know, I changed the shape. And I'm going to go ahead and tie it one more time. And then these strings don't matter because they're on the inside. So what I need to do now is put the backs on my eyes. Oh, and I don't want to mash down on my foam board, so I'm going to put something under there. And put the other eye on. Okay, so there is my eyes. Now, on my other cup I did eyelashes, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm not good at that. We can attempt it, but I'm not good at it, so you will probably definitely be better at the eyelashes than I am. So I'm just going to get a strand of your black. It's probably, you know, way too long, but I'd rather have it too long than too short. Okay. So I want to come out as close as I can to the eye. This is kind of awkward here. Trying to, you know, not cover up in front of the camera there too. Okay, so I'm going to try to get it to come out close to the eye as I can. Okay, that's going to be it. And I'm pulling through, but I'm leaving tail in here so I can tie it off in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to come up. I'm trying to see. It's not going to be very much, but the way the stitches are, okay? And then I'm gonna come back through that same spot there that my first black yarn came through. And it's actually splitting my yarn. Okay, so I'm going to bring my needle back through that same hole. Okay, and then I'm gonna go up a little bit higher for this one. Maybe, I don't know, that looks like it'd be too high, but let me try. Yeah, that's way too high. So I'm just going to pull that back through. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull it a little bit taut, but not too much that it changes shape or anything. And I'm gonna come back in that same hole, pull my yarn through again. And this time I'm gonna go in a lower hole for this eyelash. So here we are. The first one, there you go. Alright, so on the inside, I'm going to tie those two black strands together. But remember, I'm not tying it like super tight to change the shape. But I'm pulling a little bit, making sure I don't change shape. And then I'm going to tie a knot. And now I can tie another tight knot. Okay? And you can cut the strings or leave them. They're going to be on the inside. But now we got to try to do something that looks kind of similar to that over here. So I'm going to get another piece of black yarn. You can use embroidery floss to make these eyelashes, but I don't want to dig any out. So I'm going to try to come in right there. Okay. The other side a little bit. Yeah, like about right there. So I'm just trying to make sure I go on the same lines there. And I'm going to try to come back through the same little hole where my black yarn first comes down through. And then go again and go through that same hole. Okay, and this time I'm going to come to a lower. Well, you know, it is what it is. She looks a little surprised, but I'm going to tie my black yarn off. Okay. Now we're going to do the cheeks, and I've already made one. So for the cheek, this is what I'm doing. I am making a slip knot, and this time I decided to use a 3.5 hook. You excuse me. You can keep using your 5 hook. You could go down to a 4 hook. I'm going to use a 3.5 just to make a small cheek. And if you can hear the dogs racing back and forth, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna chain 2, and in that first chain, I'm gonna do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can already tell that I'm probably going to redo this. Let me see if I pull that, does it close up that center any? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch, that first single crochet. I don't really like it because it left a bigger hole than that one has. So I'm going to redo it. And sometimes that's what you have to do. So I'll make my slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. That first chain, I'm going to do 6 single crochets, and I'm going to try not to stretch that out too big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's much smaller that time. Okay, and I'm going to slip stitch into that very first stitch. And I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving just a little bit of a tail, enough that I can tie it. Okay. So, the 2 cheeks are about the same size. They're not exactly the same, but they're close enough. And I'm going to tie these 2 strands off. Now, if you want to sew your cheeks on, you can leave a longer tail and sew them on, but we know I'm going to hot glue mine on. So I am going to cut my tail, not too long, and I'm going to tuck these under here to get hot glue on them. Okay, so if you want to sew yours on, this would be the perfect time to sew them on while you can work, sew all the way through. But since I'm hot gluing mine, I'm going to just hot glue them on right now. And I'm just going to do it something like that. And here I'm just going to put it on. Mainly you want it around the edges, so your edges get, you know, glued down. Okay, now I've got one more, and I've got glue strands on my hand. Okay, so what I want to do is try to get this where it looks kind of even with the other one. So eyeball it and get an idea of where you're going to put it. And then just put a little bit of hot glue on there. And making sure you get those strands down in the glue. Okay, so there is my face. I'm very happy with that. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding some stuffing in it. So what I do with my stuffing is I pull it apart, let air get all up in there, and put some in. Now I want to stuff it all the way. So what I do is I put my hand in and I spread it apart like this. It kind of creates a hole here. This is the way I do any of my stuffies that I make. I put my hand in and I create that pocket. And then I stuff that hole that I made, that little pocket, stuff it tight in there. And that spreads the polyfill, it spreads it to the outside. And then I keep doing that. I'll put another layer. And I'll spread it. And create that pocket. And then I'm going to fill that little pocket up. And that gets the stuffing all the way to the edges. And I've got a good hole right through there, so I'm going to stuff that hole, get that kind of tight in there. So I do put a lot of stuffing because I do, you know, create the little pockets and keep filling that up. You don't want to stuff it so much that you see stuffing through your stitches, but you want it to be stuffed well enough. And you want it to be just stuffed just as much at the top as you did on the bottom. So what we're doing, I'm just putting some stuffing in for up at the top, and then I'm still creating a little pocket to stretch it out so that it's, you know, a cylinder shape, and stuffing that in so that the top part holds its shape. And that is stuffed pretty good. Okay, so I'm not going to glue the handle on yet. I'm going to make the coffee. So I'm going to push that aside. And I'm going back to my H hook. And I'm going to start with creamer. The creamer in the middle of my coffee. So I'm going to make a slip knot and put that on my hook. Okay, ready? Chain 2, and then I'm going to do 6 single crochets in that first chain. Three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now I want to change to coffee, but I'm not going to cut my yarn. I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to pull out some so that I have it, you know, some slack there. And I'm going to get my coffee. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put my yarn in the first stitch. Except I'm not going to pull up my creamer. I'm going to grab some coffee. And I'm going to pull that coffee through. I'm going to pull that, make sure that is tight too. I pull the coffee through and then just single crochet. And we'll be doing that on each round if you want to change colors. So I'm going to put 2 single crochets in that stitch for an increase. So those 2 single crochets are in that one stitch. In the next stitch, I'm going to put 2 single crochets. In the next stitch, I'm putting 2 single crochets. In the next stitch, 2 single crochets. We're doing this kind of like the bottom, but a little bit different because I changed colors. My count's not going to be the same. Now I could make it to turn out the same and such, but it's just a little project. It doesn't have to be perfect. So that right there is where we went over and did our first stitch here, but I want a coffee ring all the way around this, so I'm going to put 2 stitches right there because I want my coffee to come back and touch that coffee. So it's going to happen on every round like that, and it's okay. So I'm going to go into the next, I'm going to put my hook into the next stitch, and I'm going to pull up my creamer and single crochet. And I'm going to go back into that stitch and grab my creamer and single crochet. Then I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets for an increase. 1 and then 2. My yarn's a little bit tangled. So that was 2 in that one. So the next one gets 1 stitch. And then 2 stitches. And then 1 stitch. And 2 stitches. 1 and then 2 stitches in the next one, and then 1 and then 2, and then I'm going to put 1 stitch in that right there. Notice I'm not using a stitch marker on this because I'm not trying to keep count. I want my rings to go back and touch each other. So I'm going to pull that tight, and then I'm going to pick up, put this off to the side like, and I'm going to pick up my coffee on this next stitch. So I'm just going to go in here for that first stitch and pull up my coffee and do a single crochet. Alright, in the same stitch I'm going to do another single crochet for an increase. Okay, the next stitch, one single crochet. The next stitch, one single crochet. The next stitch, two single crochets. We're going to do that all the way around. One stitch, one stitch. So that's two, 1, 2, and then on the next one is an increase. Okay. One single crochet, two single crochets, and then an increase single crochet. Okay, and then we're back to doing one in the next stitch, one in the next stitch, and then two in the next stitch. All right, one, and then two in the same stitch. All right, one single crochet, one single crochet, two single crochets. I feel like Count Dracula from Sesame Street. And then one single crochet and one single crochet in that last little dilly. Okay, so now we are going to pick up our creamer. Grab your creamer, and we're going to go in through the loops, pull your creamer through, and single crochet. If you need to pull your coffee tight, just grab that strand and tighten it down. Okay, and we're going to we put one single crochet in that stitch. We're going to go right back into that same stitch and put one more single crochet. So that's one. Okay, now we're going to do one single crochet in the next, one single crochet in the next, and one single crochet in the next. So that's 3 single crochets, one in each stitch. And now we're going to do an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Okay, now we need to do our 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3 in the next 3 stitches, 1 single crochet in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then the next stitch gets 2 single crochets for an increase. All right, 1, 2, 3, and now we need to do an increase. Okay. Now we need to do 3 single crochets, 1 in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then do a increase. Okay, and then 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and 1 single crochet, and now we're ready for an increase, which is 2 single crochets. Okay, and then 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and 1 single crochet. Now back to an increase. And now we have 2 single crochets left, and we're just gonna single crochet in them. We're not gonna worry about is it right or not. Okay, and now I'm gonna pick up my coffee again and go into that first stitch, pull my coffee through, and single crochet. And I am going to pull my creamer tight. Okay, Now, we need to go back into that same stitch to put a second single crochet. Alright, so now this time we are going to do 4 single crochets in 4 stitches. 1, 2, okay, this is 3, 4. Okay, we did 4 stitches, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Next, we're doing a increase. Okay, now 4 single crochets. Okay, 4 single crochets. The next one's an increase, so we put 2 single crochets in that same stitch. Now 4 single crochets again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we did 4 stitches, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Now we need to increase. I'm sorry, these dogs are running wild and you might can hear them wrestling. They're being, at least they're not growling. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then we're going to do an increase. One, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. And then just put a single crochet in all the little stitches that you have left there. Okay, so let's see how that looks on our coffee cup so far for the top. Well, I think we're done. So I think it will fit in just perfect there. So we can either add some purple yarn here and sew this in, or we can do it with the brown yarn. I'm going to go ahead and do this with the brown yarn. So I'm going to pull my coffee out some and leave a long tail for sewing the coffee in. It doesn't have to be super long because it's not going to take that much, but it does, you know, you need to have some to sew with. I'm going to cut my creamer off. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to just slip stitch into the next. Pull my stitch through and then pull that tail all the way through. Okay, so that's a tail. These other yarns, I'm just going to kind of loosely tie these together. Not so tight that you change the shape, but loosely just tie your strands together so they don't come undone. Now, you can trim those if you want to, but you don't have to. I'm just going to trim them so they'll be out of my way. Now I'm going to take my super long tail that I probably made way too long, but I wanted to have enough, and thread my needle. Okay, so I want this part to line up with where I ended my top row here. So I'm just going to put that on, kind of stuff it in there a little bit. Okay, how I'm going to do this is I've got where I ended the purple row right here, and then where I ended my coffee right here at this next stitch. That kind of makes it a little bit evenish. You know, just I don't want to create such a bulk right there. So I'm not going to go through both loops of my coffee cup. I'm going to go through the back loop of the coffee cup. So I'm skipping the front loop. I'm going to go through the back loop of the coffee cup and the front loop of the coffee. Okay, I got one strand here and one strand of the coffee. The coffee cup, I'm using the back loop. The coffee, I'm using the front loop. Okay? So, is that clear as mud? Now, I must do that all the way around. It doesn't take any time to kind of just whip this together, going through the back loop of the purple and the front loop of the coffee. So if you need to add any more stuff into your cup, you would want to do that before you finish sewing this all the way around. So you want to check that out. I'm going to stop and check mine in just a moment. And I do want to say thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed making your cup, please feel free to share it with a friend. Send them the link to, or, post it in the group or whatever to share with a friend. And I appreciate that very, very much. I hope that I explained everything well enough. And I have a couple more fun tutorials that I plan to do. I've already made my prototype, I guess you'd call it, to see that, it worked up good. Got my pattern planned. So hopefully that'll be coming up soon. We're almost back. So I do need to make sure if I need to put any more yarn in there. I think I'm good because I don't want it to puff my coffee up. I want my coffee to kind of look sunky in just a little. I'll go through that one again because I don't know if I got it good. And here you might have to go through one of the loops twice or so, or whatever, just trying to get it to match up. That's fine. Just do what you gotta do. Okay, Now I'm going to just tie this off. I'm just going to go under that right there, under one strand, pull it through, but before my loop closes up, I'll run my needle back through here to kind of tie that off and make a little bitty tiny knot. And then I'm just going to run my yarn down into the coffee and just come out on the back side somewhere. Pull it kind of tight and clip it, and then the yarn will just disappear up in there. Okay, there we go. Now the last part we've got to do is put our handle on. And I want my handle right here. It's that side. So look at your handle, decide which is your top, which is your bottom. This side to me looks a little bit wider than this end, so I want that end to go at my top and the little bit wider end to go at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some hot glue on this right here, and then I'm just going to put it here, and I'm going to hold it right there and let that dry. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm just putting some hot glue on there. I did kind of put a lot, and I'm just going to hold it right there. And I want that end to glue down good. So you just got to hold it until the yarn the glue cools off. I don't want to tug on it just yet. I want to keep it there. Ooh, make sure I was pushing a little too hard, wasn't I? Just make sure that it's, it has time to cool off. All right, and then I'm going to make sure that, I keep it lined up, and then I'm going to do the same thing up here. Put glue and stick it right there, but I am keeping it lined up with my handle, like you don't want to go off to the side or anything. You want to keep it straight. So I'm putting glue right on this, and you would know that my hot glue would run out. Because of that, I might have used too much glue. And then just place it just below your rim. Definitely put it below the rim of the cup. And then just hold it there and let it cool off. Alright, look at there, guys. There is our coffee cup. We have a handle, and I'm not going to pull on my handle just yet because it's still drying. But I didn't want to make y'all just wait during that. And here's the face on it. So I think it turned out really cute. And like I said, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. And please share it with someone who might also enjoy making this. Thank you, friends. I appreciate you all watching so much, and I will see you all again soon.